How do I say goodbye to what we had? The good times that made us laugh outweigh the bad. I thought we'd get to see tomorrow, but tomorrow's gone away. It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. All right, you've survived another week. This is your friend and your brother, Kenn Blanchard from the Black Man with a Gun Show podcast, and I am working on the video. I'm not sure whether this will go through on your feed or not, but it's definitely going to be on YouTube and on Facebook and wherever you find this thing. Let me know what you think of this video. Let me know what you think of me crooning. But this is my farewell message, my friends. So to all my family, friends, and coworkers in the Second Amendment space, here it is. In my 20 plus years of being in this space, I have never seen anyone actually retire. So they usually die, get to mention or get a small mention in an NRA rifleman or somewhere on AMOLAN, but that's about it. Or they screw up in a media interview and then we just cancel them out of their whole stuff. They get crucified by the trolls and the community members that like that sort of thing just jump on. I'm trying to go out on my own terms. You know, the world has changed a lot since I started, and some good stuff has happened, and some bad. And I used to call myself the Bill Cosby of the gun rights movement, but that isn't a good analogy right now. And there were a couple other guys that I grew up looking up to that are slowly discredited themselves as well. And so I got to do like my wife tells me now and just talk about myself. Don't put myself on a pedestal or don't look up to anybody else. Just be me. So I'm just being me. And, you know, I started in 1986 doing this stuff. I wanted to be a firearms instructor for my community. And I wanted to become a highly paid speaker or radio personality. I wanted to leverage my creativity and entrepreneurism to be a successful business person. And I became the black man with a gun. You know, the local DC, Maryland, Virginia community wasn't ready for that under 30 guy that was an African American to be a trainer. So I had some bumps. My good government job allowed me to moonlight and to do the side activity, but with strict guidelines. I couldn't do stuff. I had warnings not to disclose my bona fides. I was watched. I was monitored. I had to ask permission before I traveled anywhere. And when I appeared before public on television, folks looked at me like, he's too young. How can he know anything? How dare I talk about guns and being black? There was black on black crime and police shootings and drugs wars and, well, pretty much the same stuff we got now. I got beat up a lot trying to be a firearms instructor at ranges, gun shops, at churches, and wherever I tried to advertise. It was a no-go around here. But I became involved in the gun community and gun rights when I failed to make money as a firearms instructor and a trainer back in '87. Gun rights and activism doesn't make money if you're honest, actually. But since then, I've been involved in the gun debate and as it intersects firearms instruction and civil rights. I created the 10th Cavalry Gun Club in 1991 here in Maryland, and it moved to Baltimore and New Jersey and Chicago, and where else did it go? I think that's about it, but it was cool. I got involved in the Law Enforcement Alliance of America, LEAA, and became its chaplain. And I worked through them with the NRA, with SAF, Second Amendment Foundation, and the Gun Owners of America. Created the Black Man with a Gun website in 1999. And I've been involved in U.S. Supreme Court cases that we've won. And you might not know that because my name's not nowhere in it, but I was somewhere in the beginning of it, somewhere in the midst of helping find the plaintiffs or recommend people or vent people that didn't make it, all that kind of thing. And through it all, I learned more about myself and my country than anything else. I may have failed in my training business, certifications of police and training and first aid certifications and all that good stuff, armed security and tactics and where I was trying to go, but I became successful with people, learning about what's important to all of us. But I pressed on, kept on going. I started before social media, and looking back, I could have been a boss with that thing if I knew what I was doing, but I didn't. I reached out to all the so-called black leaders back then and announced my intentions to the gun world. It was risky because historically, these same leaders are and were anti-gun. But I went there. I tried to buy a shooting range actually at one time. I got blasted on television on his show, Reverend Al Sharpton's show. I got blasted by Jesse Jackson. I got blasted by local District of Columbia pastors. I got dogged by just about everybody. The demographic that loved the black man with the gun didn't look like me, and that messed me up. You know, the same folks that are accused of racism, cronyism, sexism, and supremacy? Yeah, white males were calling me brother, and they were listening to my shows. They were inviting me to their family events across the country. I got to shoot historical type firearms in Tennessee, of all places. I aided homes of millionaires and politicians and country clubs and places in D.C. where I was pretty much the only black guy there. But they changed how I thought about a whole lot of stuff. And I learned that racism exists mostly because people need the excuse to keep things the way they are. I learned that people like mess. They like drama. I learned that I was a conservative. What I enjoyed about this whole thing was I loved meeting people like you. I loved shooting exotic and new firearms that came out, at SHOT Show or some convention. I loved championing the cause of freedom. I loved being the black man with a gun. Actually, it was fun in the beginning. It was risky. It was dangerous. I loved writing, but podcasting was my jam. And I loved and hoped that one day I'd make enough money to quit my day job. That didn't happen, by the way. I learned that my faith would sustain me. I learned that my unique position as the pastor of Pistoleros, Paladins, and Patriots saved lives. But this thing had a bad side too. I spent too much money learning and chasing influencers. I had to actually file for bankruptcy along my journey. I'm okay now, but I learned, unfortunately, by my mistakes. My wisdom comes at a price, and I almost lost my missus on this journey. I almost got kicked out of 2 churches because of my pro-gun stance. I didn't get promoted for about 5 years being pro-gun at my job. I lost promotions and opportunities for advancement because folks just assumed that I was going to be rolling in the dough, and why promote you when you're leaving? Why promote you when you are not loyal to this job? Why promote you when we seen you on the cover of a magazine or inside of Guns and Ammo or on CNN? So you must be doing well. You're just a star. So yeah, it came at a cost. Got some great memories though from being the black man with a gun. I got a Civil Rights Award from the NRA for bringing Eddie Eagle to the District of Columbia in a big way. I got the St. Gabriel Pacenti Award from the gun dean, John Snyder, the late John Snyder, at the Second Amendment Foundation Gun Rights Policy Conference one year. I created the 10th Cavalry Gun Club, and I got that club to shoot as a group, about 50 of us, at the new NRA range when it first opened in Fairfax, Virginia. I got a chance to meet Charlton Heston and called him a friend. I actually got Christmas cards for a couple of seasons from that guy, and that was like really cool. Being the chaplain of the Law Enforcement Alliance of America was a good deal. Being a part of the concealed carry reforms across the U.S. that started in Virginia and went to Texas and Michigan and South Carolina. Good stuff. Even made it up to Wisconsin. The podcast gave me a chance to interview over 100 people. Some of the most notables have been Wayne LaPierre and the gunny himself, Lee Ermey. And I actually befriended a rabbi by the name of David Ben Dory that I just adore. Really cool guy. And through this podcast, I've connected with a lot of my Jewish brethren, and it's been a good thing. Because of this podcast, I got a chance to speak once in front of 20,000 people at a rally in Albany, New York. And there, I got to do a selfie with the now President of the United States, Donald Trump. Because of this journey, I've published 2 or 3 books relating to it and the Second Amendment. You might have heard of it, called Black Man with a Gun. And even got a zombie book out of this thing, Zombie Strike. Might have to rewrite that thing and put it back out. What else? Created a website in 1999 called blackmanwithagun.com. And I even trademarked the name, Black Man with a Gun. Black Man with a Gun is actually mentioned in a movie, or I was mentioned in a movie without saying the title, Pros and Cons. Look that up, see if you can find out that little section where they were mentioning, they're talking about me actually in the movie. I got a chance to audition for a pilot that never aired for Spike TV. It came out right before, had some technical difficulties. I had a giant cricket getting ready to crawl across my toe, and I tried to stomp it, and I kicked the wire out of my camera, so starting back up again. And you wonder why I didn't like video. But I think one of the lessons I learned, which I'm going to talk about later, is that if you're starting this thing, if you're going to be a person behind the camera or behind the microphone, try to get help. If you're going to be a gun rights activist, try to get help. Don't do this thing by yourself. You can go so much further with a partner, with a friend, with a co-laborer, if you would. I think the last thing I said was I got a chance to audition for a pilot show on Spike TV. Yeah, I actually went to Hollywood, did the pilot, was doing some really good filming. I mean, we were having a blast shooting drones and RC cars, and Sandy Hook happened, and everything that was gun related got snatched off the television, and Spike TV even went away, I do believe. I think it's Vice now, but that's just history. One of the cool things is that I've been podcasting now for 12 years, had over 630 episodes sharing American history and introducing new generations to things they may have missed in school, and working with over 12 industry companies and getting sponsored by my friends at Crossbreed Holsters and United States Concealed Carry Association. I've interviewed, as I said before, over 100 people, historical figures mostly now, and you may have heard on my IG post that I was retiring. I kind of alerted some people and was trying to see who was paying attention, and it made me sad in that IG post. If you saw it, even though I'm smiling in the picture, and I was trying to think to myself, how do you retire actually? So I'm actually making this up as I go. I've never been here before, and I know it's a nice thing to let folks know your intentions. Don't leave them hanging. So like anyone, I thought about all the things I did that didn't work. So started to dwell on it, started to get sad, and had to break out the ice cream on that one. You know, if you feel bad, eat a little bit of ice cream. I learned that from my dad. But don't eat too much ice cream, or you will look like you ate too much ice cream, or that you're always sad. So you're probably asking me, why, Ken? Why are you leaving? You see, when I got started in 2000, as the black man with a gun, it was tongue in cheek. It was my version of a shock jock. And I did it with all the intentions of being replaced, actually, by many untraditional firearms instructors and activists and clubs. And we have that now in 2019. It took a while, but we got it. And they're all over the place. They're conservative, liberal, democratic, controversial, crazy, but we got it. We got all of them. And I personally know of Spanish-speaking groups, of LGBT groups, of other African Americans, disabled vets, and a boatload of women who are now involved in this movement, in this industry, in the training business, and it's cool. Up until this point, I've been the go-to guy for media for all law enforcement issues that deal with the black community, and it hasn't been fun. Also been that go-to guy for issues with religion and guns, and it's never coming at a happy time. It's always a tragedy, and it's almost been a steady flow of tragedy since 1986. And if you know the media game, and if you sound reasonable, truthful, and not bombastic in your contributions, you won't be used. I learned that. And I think I might get the reward for the most media that nobody's ever heard or seen, except for the editor and the reporter. It took me a while to learn the game of hyperbole. On a good day, I can crank it out like the best of them, but that's not my style. Over the years, I learned that I'm not the loudest, I'm not the most controversial voice out there, and I don't really want to be. And as more of those kind of folks stepped up, I thought, that's what's working right now. That's what's winning. And being the old wise guy before I was old, before being the OG, before being the guy that you guys say some nice stuff to me. I mean, just recently had the Second Amendment rally in D.C., and I had nothing but love for the whole day. And you guys touched me, and you know who you are. But you can't just be one dude on a mission. You got to learn how to delegate. You got to learn how to inspire folks. I wrote the script down so I wouldn't start crying or nothing. I wanted to be legit, had my notes. But you know, since 2007, I've been producing digital content. And the Lord has allowed me to create, to practice narration, to speak, and present online. I've been immediately and intimately involved in the gun debate, U.S. constitutional issues, and causes. And with that, I'm well known among the graybeards, now that I got one. But let me tell you this, the gun rights thing, it's evergreen. It's ever going. It's nonstop. So this retirement thing means I'm on a carousel and I want to get off. That horse and those horses are going to still be rolling. And I believe that my season is over for this. And I'm ready to move on to the next. I ain't calling in my cards. I ain't kicking the bucket. I ain't trying to retire into solitude. I still want to do stuff. I want to entertain. I want to teach. I want to continue doing the needful stuff on the sidelines. My best work and most accomplishments have not been online. The stuff that I've really done, really helped, only that person knows. I've changed minds. I've saved families. I've helped veterans. I've been a brother to those in need. I've helped mothers and grandmothers and children. So how do you retire on your own terms? Well, one of the things is do it on my own way. Decrease my expenses. Live modestly. Love unconditionally. Continue to help you and my fellow man and woman. I'm still going to be a pro-gun, pro-rights, pro-life, my life kind of guy. And if you want to find me, I'll still be online shooting recreationally. I'll still be singing, playing the blues, riding my motorcycle, preaching the gospel, and being your friend and brother from another mother. So thank you for listening, downloading, and subscribing to all that you hear and see from me. I want to thank those that reached out when they saw me and checked in on me, because, folks be leaving out of here sometimes depressed. So I really appreciate that handful of folks who text me, call me right off the bat and say, hey, what you doing over there? Appreciate that. Thanks for checking on a brother. It means I picked the right ones to call friends. Special thanks and much appreciation to Crossbreed Holsters and the whole family. We connected early. Even after the passing of Mark, we stayed connected. And Carol has been a blessing. So thank you, sis. Can't forget my man, Tim Schmidt of the United States Concealed Carry Association. Long before sponsorship was a thing, he was helping me. So what can I say? Thanks, Big Tim. He's moved on and grown his brand exponentially, and I can't fault him for that. And I got to give a big hug and a shout out to Barbara Baird, the editor, owner of Women's Outdoor News. If it wasn't for Barbara, I wouldn't have been invited to half the stuff that I got invited to. She was like my big sis, and she's been a voice of reason. She's been a person I can throw stuff up against the wall and see if it stick kind of person. She's been my sounding board, and she's just been a help and like family to me. So thanks, Barb, so much. Want to thank American Built Arms. You might not have heard about them in a while, but abarms.com, they were my first supporters of my internet television show I had way back in 2015. Show only lasted 3 months, but hey, Blanchard Outdoors was there, and I want to thank Adam and crew for that. Shout out to my Patreon supporters, my Show Enough supporters. If it wasn't for y'all, I wouldn't be able to maintain the hosting and the other stuff that I was doing. We got that app because of you. That app is still going. I'll probably have to shut that thing down too, because I won't have that extra money to pay for its development and to keep it from getting hacked and all that good stuff. And you kept me solvent. So thank you to all those who are on the Patreon page. You guys made a difference, and all I can say is thank you. Can't say that enough, actually. Well, like Sheriff Bart said before me, my work here is done. I'm needed elsewhere now. I'm needed wherever outlaws rule the West, wherever innocent women and children are afraid to walk the streets, wherever a man cannot live in simple dignity, wherever a people cry out for justice. Yeah, they said BS too. Until next time, Shalom, baby.